Hey team, so here we are thinking about estimating before we multiply. You could also estimate after you multiply. I like to think about doing it before so that I know if my answer, when I get to the answer, if it's in the ballpark, right? If it's a reasonable um, response. So one thing that you will be practicing here is thinking about rounding to a certain place value spot. So on this example here, we can think that we're estimating the answer to this problem, 269 times 6. So if we want to kind of get a reasonable ballpark answer, right, we can say, okay, well, let's round 269 to the nearest 100. Well, I know that this right here is my 100 place value spot. So I'm going to look to the digit right behind it, right? I'm going to look to my tens, and that tens spot, that digit in the tens spot is going to tell me if I round it up to 300 or if I keep it at 200. And you'll remember that as you're rounding, if you have a number that is 5 or bigger, you're going to round up. And if it's 4 or lower, you're going to just keep it the same. So in this case, the number 6, so we're going to end up rounding that 269 up to 300, and then we're going to multiply that by 6, right? Just to estimate, to kind of see if our answer, right, as we do the detailed multiplication work, we can see if it gets near this number here. So we say 300 times 6. Well, I'm going to find my basic fact first. So I'm going to cover up those zeros and just say, oh, well, I know 3 times 6 is 18. And then I can pull back and say, I'm going to add 1 0, 2 zeros to make it 300. 6 times 300 is 1800 with 2 zeros. So you can think as we go back over here to kind of do another example, if we have a number like this, we have 245, and we again want to round to the hundreds place value spot to figure out if our answer that after we multiply becomes reasonable. We're going to go ahead and say, okay, well, I'm going to look at the bigger number. 245 is the bigger number. I'm going to round that to the hundred spot. So I look at which digit is in the hundred spot. I look behind it to its little friend back here, right? So the 4, woohoo, is in the tens place value spot. And it's that cheerleader, it's that friend behind saying, hey, stay the same if you're 4 or lower, or hey, go on up, go to the big shots, right? If it's a number that's 5 or bigger. In this case, we're going to round it to 200, it's just going to stay the same. And we're going to multiply that by our smaller digit, which is 8. I'm going to find the basic fact, right? By covering up these zeros here, boop, boop. I'm going to imagine like I can't see them. It's a basic fact of 2 times 8. Well, I know 2 times 8 is 16. Whoop, 16. So then when I say, oh, I'm going to uncover a 0, I'm going to uncover another 0, and I have 2 zeros that I can add on. So a reasonable estimate for this 245 times 8 is 1600. The answer should be somewhere around 1600. If when you multiply, you end up with something like, 29,000, you might be way off. And so it's a good thing to have this estimate to know if you are close. You can do this same type of thing as you're multiplying and rounding, not always just to hundreds, but also to thousands. So down here, we're going to round to the thousands place value spot, which happens to have a digit of 1 in the thousands place value spot. So now we look to the digit right behind it, which is in the hundred spot, happens to be a 5 this time. So the 5 says, hey, big guy, thousands, move on up. So this becomes not a 1,000, but a 2,000, and we're going to we're going to multiply it by our smaller digit, by our 11. So we say, okay, I'm going to find the basic fact by pretending like these zeros aren't here. I'm going to just cover them up in my mind. I can say 11 times 2. I know that is 22. And I add back those digits that I covered up. 1, 2, 3 zeros. I'm going to add in 1, 2, 3 zeros. So 22,000 is a reasonable estimate for this estimate.